Have to keep the volume down so the camera doesn't pick you up. Okay, how are you guys doing today? Horrible.
Pretty bad.
How about in math? Can we work with the math part of your problems first? That's what you're talking. That's unfortunate. Okay, where are you at?
I'm stuck on 2-2. I can't. I don't get 2-2.
You don't get 2-2?
No.
Okay.
So I still don't
Yes.
understand what we're doing there.
Alright. Here's how 2-2 works. I'm gonna draw myself a line. Y equals X. Okay? Alright. Just quickly, randomly pick something like that. Okay? Just randomly pick
What's it doing?
0.
Yeah, I was like, whoa.
That's why I ahead of myself here. Okay, 0 and 0. Okay, so I randomly pick some values here. Now, what I need to do is I need to take the square root of this graph. So what it's asking me then is to take the square root of, so y is equal, let me just change that to f of x here. So I have f of x is equal to x. And what I want is I want my new graph to be y equals the square root of f of x. So that's the square root of my original graph. What does f of x represent in my original graph? It's the y values. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the square root of all the y values.
And you go your X the same.
X will stay the same. Just take the square root of your y values.
Okay.
So, what's the square root of negative 2?
You can't have
Not possible. What about the square root of negative 1? Okay. So I can't take the square root of any of these values here, can I? No? Okay. So now, what's the square root of 0?
0.
0. Square root of 1?
1.
Square root of 2? 1 point something or other, right? So you'd be somewhere like right here. Just hypothetically. The square root of 4?
2.
So up there. Okay? And now I just got to draw it. Now what do we know about, I mentioned this before, it has to come above the line, right? Because when I take the square root of a fraction, it actually becomes a larger number. You agree? So I go like this. There it is. That's all I've been asked to do. That's it. So far, that makes sense? Okay. So now, let's take a different graph that's a little more complicated for you. And let's do the same. So you're okay with this one?
Yep.
That's all I'm doing. Just take the square root of the y values. If the y value is less than 0, you don't touch it. Okay? So let's look at this. F of x is equal to x squared. Subtract 4. Let me do this. Okay? What's the vertex of this graph?
0 and negative 4.
What are my,
2 negative 2.
read my mind. It's getting scary. Okay? So the next question was, what are the intercepts, right? Okay. So now, I want g of x to be the square root of f of x. So far, so good? Okay? Now, I could do a table of values. But I'm not going to just yet. Alright? Where does my square root graph start at?
Negative.
Right. Starts right here, right? Okay? What's the next value that actually stays the same?
3 and 9.
For me?
Would it be 3 and 9? Or no, 3 and 5.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, x values, yeah, okay. Alright, I'm probably gonna confuse you. The next value is when y is equal to 1, right? Because the square root of 1 is still 1,
Oh, right.
right? So what do we call those?
Invariant.
Invariant, right? So they stay the same right here. There and there. Okay? Now, Jesse, all I'm gonna do is make this even simpler for you. Once I've got those consistent points, those are the key points. What happens to all of these values right here when I take the square root of them? They get smaller. Agreed? So I just do this. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Oh, so it just goes out from the invariant. Oh, well that makes sense.
That's it. There's your new graph of square root of f of x. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
And that's all there is to that section. No, 2.2. All you need to do is be able to graph those. Okay?
Okay.
Okay? What are the actual invariant points there? So I'm actually asking for coordinates. What are the invariant points there? What are the first two? That the original graph goes through and the new graph goes through.
Negative 2 and 0.
Negative 2 and 0, 2 and 0, right? And then,
Negative 3 and 1, and 3 and 1.
very good, right? So there's 4 invariant points for that right there. Again, those are the points that stay the same on both graphs. Okay? That's all of 2.2 right there in a nutshell. Okay?
So then when you're doing the domain range, for those, it just.
Okay, so you want to do the domain and range for this?
Yeah.
Okay. The domain acts such that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, how do I explain this here? There and that way.
X is less than negative 2.
X is less than negative 2. Equal to or not?
Yeah. Equal to.
Yeah. And how do I explain this guy that way?
Greater than or equal to 2.
Okay.
Okay? And what's your range for this guy?
Has to be greater than or equal to 0.
Done. That's it.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay? Guys, you got any questions, Terry?
On the chapter
Page
review 63.
Yeah. 63, 1A?
Yeah.
Ooh. All right. So, okay. Y equals, give me the equation please, Casey.
4 root negative in brackets x minus 5 plus 1.
Okay, let's start by doing this again. A is what?
4
4. B is
negative 1
H.
5
Okay.
1.
All right. So what are the transformations?
Move to the right 5 and up 1. And then your horizontal stretch of negative 1. So it just moves it and switches the way it faces
Over which axis?
y.
Because which values are all changing? X. That's correct. Right. And then what?
And vertical stretch of 4.
Okay. So here's the issue I have. You have to go in the opposite order you just told it to me.
Okay.
You got to start with stretches first, and then shifts last. Okay. So now, you know what? Let's do it this way. We'll do it on here. Okay. So y equals. Okay, there's the square root of x, right?
Yeah.
So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna multiply my y values by 4. Now, I should write out a table here of 4 values, 0, 0, 1, 1, 4, 2, 9, 3. Okay, and we'll do that after we do this quickly. So, what's the 4 gonna do to the graph?
I'm just gonna lift every value up by 4.
By a factor of 4. Agreed?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do that then. I'm gonna go back up to here. Put it in front. 4. Enter. Okay. So far, so good, right?
Yeah.
So 0, 0 stays the same, 0, 0. 1, 1 becomes what? 4, 2 becomes 4, 8. And 9 and 3 become 9 and 12. Right? Okay, so that makes sense? Multiply everything by 4. The -1 value, the b value, is going to do what to this graph?
Switch the faces. Like,
Okay, how do we actually say that mathematically?
because all the x value is negative.
Okay,
That's only the y.
not flip. What's the word they use?
Reflect.
Reflect. We reflect over the y value, the y axis. So all my x values change. So let's do that next. Now I'm going to do it. I've got a negative right there. So now I'm over here. Just going to change the grid range a bit here. There. A bit better?
Yeah.
Okay, so we just reflected it over that axis, right? Okay, what's h do to the graph?
Moves it
540.
Moves it 5 to the right. So now I've got to go another bracket here. So what's my key point is going to be what? Like the starting point 0, 0 is now going to become what?
5 and 1.
5 and, well, right now it's going to be, no, you're right, 5, 0 to start with, right? So let's hit that. So now we're over here now. And then what's the last thing I need to do? Move it up 1. So the key to this question is doing those stretches first. So this pink line right here, that's it. Okay? The best way to graph this is to put those 4 key points and then move the 4 key points. Okay? So let's do that then. So I've got x, y here. The original, so 0, 0, 1, 1, yeah, 9, 3, right? Okay, so now 4f of x. What are my next points? 0, 0, 4, 4, 8, 12. Okay. 4 f of negative x.
0, 0. -1, 4. -40.
Good? Okay. Let's see about the last. Let's put the last 2 together. See how good we can do with that. Negative x subtract 5 plus 1. Okay. So
5, 1,
5, 1.
4, 5, 1, 9.
-4.
Yeah. 13, is that right? Okay. Let's have a look. My points. Those are my points. 5, 1, right? And then it was 4 and
4 and
5,
5.
and so on. Okay? To me, that's the best process to go through. And right now, you're allowed to use that calculator right now. You need to do it without on the exam. It's probably not quite as detailed as this, but for right now, you can check your solutions with your calculator.
Or
Okay?
11 and 10.
Alright? So there's 1A. What are the A, B, H, and K on B there? A is what?
-3,
B is?
2,
H is?
-1,
K is?
-3,
Okay, so first stretch is what?
-3,
So
vertically,
two things happen there. What do you do?
reflects over axis,
And times y values by 3. Agreed?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The 2 does what?
Which is 0,
By a factor of a half. That's right. So what are you doing to your x values?
5 by 2.
Divide them all by 2. And then which way are we shifting?
One left.
1 left, 3 down. Good for you. That's it. That's it in a nutshell. Okay? Alright, so I suspect 2.3, we have about 10 more minutes. Is our plan still review the next 2 days then? Review tomorrow, pre-test Friday, probably test, we don't school Mondays, probably test Wednesday, something like that, and then I'll have an assignment for you for the weekend. Sound good? Okay, good enough. Before I shut that off, grade 11s, are we okay?